Let's learn how to access and use Google's AI chatbot, Gemini. You'll want to first navigate to gemini.google.com. I have the links in the description of this video, so all you have to do is click on them. Once you navigate here, you actually need to sign in with your Google account. If you don't have one, you'll need to create one. We can just click the sign in button to sign in. Once we sign in, we're automatically redirected to the chatbot where we can ask it anything we want. We can basically use it as our personal assistant. See right here, I can ask it a question, what are you? And it gives me a response. I'm Gemini, a large language model or an artificial intelligence if you prefer. So this response that we're receiving is actually based off of a certain model. In this particular case, it's the 2.0 Flash model. I know this because in the upper left, we have this 2.0 Flash that is saying underneath Gemini. If we click on this button, we can actually select a different model if we want to do things differently. As of right now, I have these different options. The 1.5 Flash model, which was the previous model before 2.0 came out. The 2.0 Flash Thinking Experimental, which allows it to think or reason based off of what you're asking it to do. Or the 2.0 Flash Thinking Experimental with apps. And those apps could be YouTube, Maps, things within the Google ecosphere. Now, another option is Gemini Advanced. And this is an upgraded model that allows you to use experimental features without having the drawbacks of a smaller context window. The context window being basically the conversation that you're having. This stores all of that information so it can be reused again. If you ask more, it just builds on top of each other. Gemini Advanced also allows you to use Gemini in other Google apps like Gmail or Calendar. This makes it much easier for it to accommodate for your needs. So this version of Gemini allows us to switch between models, but we can actually do the same thing inside of the AI Studio. If we traverse to aistudio.google.com, again, the link is in the description, we get met with this screen where we can actually use Gemini inside of this AI Studio. Now, whether you're just using the AI Studio or if you want to build an app and you need an API key or something like that, you can choose one of these options. For now, I'm just trying out Gemini. It then asks you to consent to their Google privacy policy, as well as asking you if you want to be a part of any marketing that they might send to you. I'll just consent to the privacy policy and hit accept. Now we're ready to use Gemini. Over here on the right, we have this panel where we can actually change which model we're using. If we hover over the model, we get a full preview as to what we're expecting for this particular model. You can see the input and output pricing. Now these pricings are based off of API usage. That does not include what you're using in the AI Studio, what it's best for, what its use cases are, when its knowledge cutoff was, as well as the rate limits for the free tier, and the response time, how much latency there is between when you ask it and when it gives you a final response. If we click on this drop down, we get a few different options, one being that 2.0 Flash model. At the time of this recording, it's the most recent model. The next being the Flash Lite Preview, which is the same thing as the 2.0 Flash model, but with a smaller context window, as well as the inability to do images or videos. It's only text. The next is the Pro Experimental model, and this is good for code or things that require a long context window because it provides a larger context, but it's also a lot slower and it might be less cost effective. But it's also the most recently published model, being the February 5th version of the Gemini 2.0 AI. The last model in the Gemini 2 line is the Flash Thinking Experimental model, and this will use reasoning to generate a response. It'll basically create a list of things that it's expecting to do as a prompt input and then produce the output based off of that prompt. This means you don't necessarily have to prompt it with the specifics. It will prompt itself and then create a response based off of its own prompt. As you might imagine, this one is going to be a little bit slower. Now, after Gemini 2 are your previews, and these are kind of old models that they had in a preview window that you could check out. The other ones are the 1.5 versions and then the original models that you could use if you wanted to, but they are outdated by this point. Once we select our model, we have more things to take into account underneath it. The first one being the token count, and this is the token count of your whole conversation. So it keeps track of how many tokens have been used inside of your conversation. You only have a certain number of tokens that you can use before it starts summarizing the earlier portions of the conversation. Now, 1 million tokens is a fairly large context window in the grand scheme of all of the other AI chatbots. It's honestly really difficult to hit this limit unless you're uploading like a whole giant repository of code or a whole book or something like that. The next option is the temperature, and this allows the response to be more or less creative based off of what you're asking it to do. It's kind of whether it will veer off topic a little bit or stay on topic. One is right in the middle, so it will deduce some things on its own, but it will also stay on topic quite a bit more. Now we can scroll down into tools. The first option is structured output. This is if you want the response to be in a certain output like a CSV or JSON. The next is code execution, which allows you to execute code that it generates inside of its response. Then we have function calling, and this is just like what it says. It will call functions within the response. The last tool is grounding with Google Search, and this allows the response to be more accurate as well as recent because it's using Google Search as a reference and then appending those references to its response so you can see where the response actually is coming from. The last things are advanced settings. We can edit the safety settings to make sure that you're getting the safest response that you want. Then we have a stop sequence, which if it's continuously creating a response, we may want to stop it because it might be going off on a tangent that we don't want it to go on. And so we add a stop sequence to stop the generation of the response. Then we have the output length, and this will be the length of the response. Basically, how many tokens will you allow the response to be? You can make this fewer if you want it to be a shorter response. You can make this a lot larger if you want it to be a huge response, like changing an entire repository. The last thing that we can change is the top P, and this is the probability threshold of the response. So it's selecting multiple tokens from its list of data, and from that, it gives a score based off of what it thinks is the most probable answer to what you're asking it to do. This threshold means that it needs to be at least 95% in order for those tokens to be considered in your response. So now that we went through all the model options, we can now ask it something. Now, the first thing up here at the top are the system instructions. We can add different tone or style if we wanted to like sound British, or if we wanted to only respond in haikus or something like that, we would add that to these instruction sets up here. I want it to be just normal, so I'll just leave that at that. Down here at the bottom, we can now type our question or our task that we want it to do. So I'm asking it to write me a short paragraph about yourself, and we can run it by clicking on the run button or holding control and hitting enter. It responds with, I'm a large language model trained by Google, and then a bunch of other stuff. So that's how we use this AI Studio. But if I were to hit create prompt, you'll notice that that conversation is now gone again. In order to be able to save, we need to enable chat history. We can do that by clicking this button here on the left. When we do, we get a pop-up that asks us to allow us to write to our Google Drive account because that is where the chat history is going to be saved. All this is doing is saving to a text file on your Google Drive account, and then it references it inside of this AI Studio. And those are two ways through your browser that you can access Google's AI Gemini.